Hey everyone, my Professor Deck is back, and today is facing off against Personal Evolution. Net damage. Alright, against Jinteki, I'm actually quite comfortable because Jinteki usually threatens the flatline through careless running. So as long as I stay very careful and play very cautiously, I will not die to a flatline. Yes, the awesome thing about Jinteki is that it cannot score agendas very easily. It rarely ever gets to 7 agenda points. Of course, this is a good thing, not for the Corp, but for me, the runner. So I do not have to worry at all until remotes hit the table. And even when they do hit the table, they are likely to be very lightly iced, so I can easily get through it. So now all I need to focus on is to get my economy going, to get some tutors going, so that when the time comes to attack remotes, like now, I can do so safely. Well, shell game. Is to be expected. There is an agenda in there. So I draw up in case I hit a snare. I hit a shock. I lose 1 card. No big deal. I try the next one. It's a melange that goes in the trash. Thankfully, I exactly 1 credit to start the run with. And the third one, which is obviously an agenda because shell game. So even though I lost a lot of cards, that's fine. Lost a lot because of quality time. That's fine because I was expecting to lose them anyway with snare. And I didn't have a freelance coding contract in hand anyway. But the most important thing is that I got the brain trust out. That is very key. I'm making sure that he cannot get to match point. As long as he doesn't get a single agenda on the table, I can play in peace, clicking magnum opus for free. Freely clicking magnum opus every turn and building up a very strong economy. He can't do anything. He cannot flatline me, not like Weyland with Sea Scorch. If Weyland wins the economic war. I'm very good to go. So he places something and advances it once. The worst it could be is a Cerebral Overwriter, which will lower my hand size by 1, or a Program Thrasher, which is Aggressive Secretary. But either way, I can handle it. I have a Magnum Opus in hand, and 1 brain damage, not too much of a deal. It's a Corporate War, I liberate it. And of course, I bring out my Net Shield because I drew it the first click. Now you know why I put the Net Shield in my deck. Net Shield really isn't so much for preventing the Jinteki flatline. Personally, I think there is no way you get flatline by Jinteki unless you're extremely careless or extremely unlucky, like accessing 2 cards from R&D and hitting snares twice in a row. The whole intent of Net Shield in this deck is to make sure that I don't get decked out. At the end of the day, I only have 45 cards, and I'm going to lose a lot of them to massive card draw plus Freelance Coding Contract. So I do not want to lose any cards from my hand as far as possible. I would much rather pay the single credit, which is easily replenishable with Magnum Opus. As you can see, I'm spending a lot of my entire turns just clicking for credits and drawing cards. I'm letting him get subliminal messaging off and restructures, which is fine because I don't have any inherent way to deny money from the Corp anyway. So the best thing I can do right now is to boost my own game to make sure that I can overcome whatever he has. Last turn he installed a remote and something else inside there. I have no idea what it is, but I decided not to pursue it because I was feeling I was in a weak position and it could have been a trap or pointless run anyway. He scores a clone retirement, and that's where Net Shield comes in useful again. Net Shield replenishes every turn, both on the Corp's turn and the runner's turn. So whether he scores an agenda or I score an agenda, I can prevent any net damage. The other important thing about preventing these strip net damages is that it prevents me from losing key cards from my hand, like the Stim Hack, and especially the Test Run Scavenge combo. I'll need to keep them in hand and wait for opportune time to use them. However, with constant drip net damage being inflicted by Personal Evolution's ID, I think my test runs and scavengers will end up being in the heap where I cannot restore them. So having a Net Shield out against Personal Evolution is so huge. And I think this game has solidified my decision that Net Shield should stay in my deck. Now, I need to make an apology because I lost quite a bit of video footage, about 5 runner turns and Corp turns. I'm not sure where the footage went, but anyway, can't do anything about it. So I'll move on to the 10 turns late, 5 plus 5 turns later. No new agendas have been scored. I've since installed a York and a femme fatale. The femme fatale is on a Dinosaurus because I face checked into a swordsman a few turns ago, and the York because I saw the Chimera on R&D, which is now being femmed, the innermost piece of ice on R&D. He used the Chimera and stated it was code gate, so I brought the York out to get through the Chimera for one go. So now it's my turn. I see that both R&D and HQ have upgrades now, and I get another clone chip out. Meanwhile, he continues solidifying his economy and decides to advance the card in the remote 3 times. Notice that that remote with 1 piece of ice and 2 items inside the remote has been sitting there for the past 5 turns without any advancement tokens, and now he advances it 3 times. So it really is making me think that it's a trap. So I ignore it and decide to go straight for R&D instead. With a clone chip out, I can afford to do so. Although that's a bit dangerous because the barrier breaker, my most reliable one, the corroder, is in my hand. I cannot summon it with clone chip. But I should be able to get through any code gate or sentry with ease, especially since my fam is on the Dinosaurus right now. Turns out it's a Neural Katana. Fantastic. Thankfully, I put the fam on the Dino, so I can break through Katana for 1 credit. He doesn't rest the Chimera. Actually, he could. No, there's no point. Yes, it's femmed. So I first see 1 card from R&D, which turned out to be Hokusai. I trashed it, and I also trashed the Corporate Troubleshooter, which was lying on R&D. Then he finally advances the Fetal AI, which was the card that was in the remote all this while. Once again, I prevent the drip damage with Net Shield. He's now up to 3 points, I have 4 points. I cannot let him get to 5 points with a Brain Trust, so I'm definitely running the server, taking 1 net damage, and accessing a Fetal AI. Alright, so that knocks 3 cards off my hand. Although OCTGN bugged out there, so he had to do it manually, and I also had to pay 2 credits. But I have 1 click left. This is why I'm always prepared. In case of any emergencies, I always have that extra 1 click to draw up or to get rid of a tag. But again, in Jinteki, usually they don't pack any tag punishment, so I don't really care. And I only have 1 credit anyway, so I cannot remove the tag. I wanted to get rid of the Hokusai. So instead, I took 2 credits. Now it's his turn. He plays a Neural EMP. I'm not worried about triple Neural EMP because I have 2 cards in hand plus a Net Shield. So he Neural EMPs me twice and Punitive counter strikes me. Didn't see that coming. To be fair, it's not a very good card in Jinteki Personal Evolution because he's running all these tiny agendas. 3 pointers, only 2 pointers and Clone Retirement. So how much damage are you going to do with Punitive Contract? Very little. And even if you do damage, most likely you won't have the money to pull it off. Because it's just not worth it for 2 points of damage, 3 points of damage at the very most. He needs to pay a lot of credits to match the runner's credits in order to let the meat damage go through. However, I didn't see any while doing my R&D digging, and yeah, that cost me the game. I should have been able to easily win that game, but due to my greediness and assuming that you won't see it in Personal Evolution, that was my mistake. And well, kudos to him. He won it fair and square. Had I drawn up, that wouldn't have happened. So yeah. At the end of the day, I definitely think that NetShield did a lot of work. You really don't want to get stuff like Akamatsuman chips and your only Dinosaurus trash from your hand. It's really, really painful. So it might just be worth tutoring a NetShield, just spending an entire SMC on NetShield just so that you can prevent any future net damage. It really is more powerful than you think. Thanks for watching. Hope this has been an interesting game. See you around.